correct. But
Sex outside of marriage is immoral.
that's right. And when you touch yourself down there, the saints cry. That is subjective opinion. That cannot be verified as true. There's no objective basis to it at all, other than, well, you might argue this, that in order to maintain order in the cave, you, my woman, go with Ugg. You go with Ugg. You belong to Ugg. So fidelity, that kind of the origins of Puritanism, if you will, it was to maintain order in the cave. But we're no longer in caves, in case you haven't noticed.
No, I think it was to establish the fact that the man was responsible for the child.
Oh, huh?
Well, if the woman only has sex with the man, this one man, then it's proof that that man is the father of the child. Otherwise, it was very difficult in those days to establish paternity. So you couldn't have a male-dominated society without ownership of women.
So you had your harem.
That's right. So
early harems.
You owned, yeah. So that's the
off that table.
That's the root of
Question a meaning cat.
of
You're
that. But
acting
I mean,
out.
you can so. But
You know
there's,
better than that.
like you said, I mean, where's the basis? There is always some grounds for a belief, and that's the grounds for that sex outside of love and marriage go together like a horse and carriage. Arthur was singing that song.
Thanks.
Yesterday
One day
or
I'll
the
go to a
day before.
hypnotist and have it removed. Ask the local gentry, and they will say it's elementary.
So I mean, I think that's we back to that these arbitrary rules about what is moral and what is immoral has definitely confused the issue about what the conscience is, because we think that we should feel bad when we do something that our society deems immoral, but when we don't feel bad because it's just arbitrary, then we think, well, maybe the whole basis for the conscience is just as arbitrary, and there really is no such fundamental inbuilt human sensation that we call the conscience that has that organic, as you put it, sense of shame. But there is. I mean, and that's, I felt it also when you've done something wrong. And I remember one time I was in high school. I was driving on a rainy night. I've been maybe driving for like 6 months. And I changed lanes. I looked and I didn't see anybody in the right lane, and so I changed lanes. And a few seconds later, I heard this horrible crash.
She was driving a stretch van. That's what she learned.
No,
to
I
drive.
wasn't. No. This is my brother's
take
car.
it back. Uh-huh.
And I heard this horrible crash, and I knew in my gut that I caused the wreck. And even though it was behind, I wasn't involved in it in terms of it hitting my car. And my friends that were in the car with me said, "Oh, what are you?" I was starting to pull over, and they're like, "What are you doing? Come on, let's go. We're going to be late." And I said, "No, I know that was my fault, even though I hadn't seen it. Because I never saw the car. It was in my blind spot, and so when the police came." I said to the policeman, I said it was my fault. And I didn't know. I mean, like I said, I never even saw the car. And my mother's insurance agent later told my mother, said, please tell her you're not, yes, you are supposed to tell the truth in all situations, except when you're talking to a policeman. Never admit to fault when you're talking to a policeman.
What a coach.
I know. I mean,
what advice to the young?
Yes, that's right.
Only lie when you're talking to a policeman.
But I mean, it was there.
Or always lie when you're on a fender bender.
Later on, I realized, that I had not been aware of what, this other person, and it turned out this was the person who was in the accident was a year ahead of me in the same high school, and she wore a neck brace for about 4 or 6 weeks. To make, I just felt every day I saw her in the halls and just had this horrible experience. I felt like she was doing it just to make me feel bad. But I mean, there it was. I mean,
Okay, so that
so anyway, there was that. It was really.
No, I wanted to say something about that,
please.
because maybe it's the shame is what we do with just the innate sense that we have behaved unethically. There's a legitimate feeling of this isn't right. It's like almost like pouring alcohol down your or sucking. First cigarette you ever smoked? Do you remember what it felt like to your lungs? You coughed your guts out. Didn't feel good. Similarly, it doesn't feel good to be unethical
Right.
at first. But the prolonged shame is the way I think our subjective mind that evaluates everything and puts a price tag on everything, value judges everything. So you were wrong. Look what you did to her. You shouldn't have done that. So for Christ's sake, you were learning to drive. Your reflexes were slow. I did the same thing. I ran over my little cousin's head with a bicycle when I was first learning to ride. And some little girl pushed him out on the sidewalk, and he fell down, and I drove over his head and knocked his front tooth out. And it was rude and all. It was ages before it came back. But I felt so chronically guilty about it every time he smiled. But
what
it
if I
wasn't
hadn't-
intentional, and it wasn't our fault. But our subjective mind that loves self-hatred because it is enamored with the nonsense of free will, that we do these things deliberately and methodically and premeditatedly,
Yes.
and it keeps us the only thing that subjective BS that's our heads are full of, is afraid of, is self-analysis, of us really looking at it and saying, just how true is your big case on me? How true is it? Show me what you got. Show me what a horrible person I am. And you know what? It won't, because it doesn't have anything, because it knows that there is no free will, and we could never help the way we behaved. I don't care if you spent 6 months plotting to murder your parents for the insurance policy. We're going to take you out of society. We're going to put you somewhere where you're treated, and maybe we can discover the source of a psychotic hatred and greed that would drive you to do something like that. But you're more nuts than somebody that kills in a fit of passion, which is also insane, and they don't get away with it. But we don't put people in human zoos. So I'm kind of getting far afield here. What I'm trying to say is that there's
I
the
think there was a
shame and the
difference.
nonsense that gets piled onto it.
Yeah.
I don't want to lay that at the feet of our conscience,
Right.
which is our consciousness, because it's conscious. It doesn't blame us. It doesn't punish us for our actions, because it knows we can't help
Right,
it.
because see, I think you were putting together the two different things that I said. The one was the conscience that made me stop and say, yes, this was caused by me. And then there was the shame I
Self-recrimination.
felt later when I saw her with
Right.
the neck brace. Now, see, I think those are two separate things.
Okay.
The conscience, I mean,
I think it's a good point, though.
yeah, but if I had not stopped today and I was telling this story, there would be horrible guilt and shame of not having obeyed the demands of my conscience at that time. And but I can tell the story easier because I did stop. And what I felt about her when I saw her in the school was more the shame of having not been good enough, of having made a mistake and caused an accident.
you caused it. It was your
so I
fault.
was bad. I was wrong
Subjective
person.
mind.
So I think
All
those
subjective mind.
are two separate things.
Yeah, but I want to
we're
make that
talking about.
distinction clear,
Right.
because we're not talking about guilt.
Right.
That's not
Right.
what an organic sense of having behaved incorrectly.
Right.
That doesn't come from that. As a matter of fact, what consciousness does is what Katie did. You turn around and you go back,
Right.
whether you're late for school or not. She knew she just caused a wreck, and she wanted to make it right.
And-
that's objective mind.
Right.
That's a society you can live in, and you don't need a police person on every corner to protect
Right.
you from the mob, because there is no mob. Everybody's brought up. Everybody is at a livable. You don't have multi-billionaires when other people are eating out of dumpsters. Duh. Sorry for the anger, but I'm 65 years old. I'm so tired of talking about the obvious. I mean, can we have some brains in this country? Can we wake up?
Yeah.
Could we wake up? I mean, that's what we're doing this show. We're throwing it out here like, hey, man. Hey, when's our next event, by the way?
Well, this show will have just done Firestorm when this show airs. So hopefully you were there.
We'll be at the library.
And we are going to be at the North Asheville Library. Thank you for mentioning that. December 15th, which I believe is a Wednesday. and we'll be sometime after the show airs. But it'll be Wednesday, December 15th, North Asheville Library, 7:00, and we'll have other notices about that.
I was thinking about talking about love, just kind of a really
Yeah, we talked about having a topic, so
talk about
we'll think
love.
about that.
Let's think about it.
Yeah. But if you go to our website, and I've actually just started a Facebook page, if you'd like to, that we'll be able to use to make when we're going to have an event. So if you're on Facebook, you can link to it, so we can, whenever we post an event, you'll be notified about it. So I'm not very good at Facebook, but I'm going to try. I have too much else to do to stay hooked into Facebook.
Really? So I'm saying that's my answer, is morality is who we really are. That's our consciousness. That's the underlying
I think so.
force. It's the force
Right.
that underlies everything. But we're really going through a rough patch here, folks, for tens of thousands of years, because we've been able to evolve into what the chief source of our madness is: a subjective mind that is way overinflated. And what we need to do is challenge and jettison this erroneous mountain of beliefs we're holding about ourselves and everything else, and let our objective mind be at our service. An ego empowered by this awesome objective intelligence, we can transform the world in an eye blink. But we got to get the subjective nonsense out of the way. We've got to stop hating each other. And I admit I'm a hater from way back. I hate conservatives. I hate redneck, mindless thinking that flies in the face of objective facts. What morality? What war on drugs? Alcohol? The damage it's done. I mean, I don't even talk about it. Cigarettes you can walk in and buy. Legalized gambling, people squandering their money. Your chances of being hit by lightning 3 times in one place are better than winning the lottery. What morality? It's okay to carpet bomb people. It's okay to stock enough hydrogen bombs to blow the world up 10 times over. That's okay. But you're just so worried about them homosexuals and them poor little fetuses. Land sakes. It just breaks tears to my eyes. And what about Natalie Holloway? Kiss my royal red bum. Can I say bum before 11 o'clock? We got to get an after 11 show. Let's take the gloves off.
Yeah.
No, it's nice. It's nice to be out here and
Yeah,
when
like
there's
being
more of a viewership available.
Right. And it's a challenge to us to keep our language, particularly
More of a challenge
one of us.
for one than from one to another.
Oh, okay. Well, we're getting down to
Getting
it.
down to it.
Well,
That's why we moved to Asheville, so we can have this show and say these kind of things. Because, like I said, I'm 65. I don't know how much longer I'm going to be around. And, it's like McMurphy said in that scene in One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest when he bet all his money away, that he could lift that water fountain, huge thing up and go hurl it through the window and go down and have a beer and watch the ball game. And he just strained his guts out. Nicholson at his best, but he couldn't do it. But then he looked at it all and said, I tried. God damn it. At least I did that much. Well, that's what this show is. At least we're trying. And so is everybody else on URTV.
That's right.
Everybody's got a vision. Well, a lot of you out there in TV land should maybe think about getting your own show. Put out your own point of view on URTV. It's a real opportunity. It's a nice studio, very helpful. You can learn a lot about producing. And they have an orientation meeting every...
I guess, you should check that on the website.
Check the URTV website. Just type in URTV and go to the Western North Carolina Community Media Center. Well, that's all for this time, folks.
Thanks for joining us, and hope you'll watch again.